What I had to, it is such a massive undertaking that you can't do it lightly and you can't do it quickly. You have to really consider what it is that you need to show in order to be poignant.
In the annals of Hollywood legend, few figures have wielded creative power with the uncompromising ferocity of Mel Gibson. From his breakout role as Mad Max to his Oscar-winning directorial triumph with Braveheart, Gibson has carved his name into cinema history through a combination of raw charisma, meticulous craftsmanship, and an unforgiving pursuit of artistic perfection that has both elevated his work and burned bridges throughout his 4-decade career. Behind the box office triumphs and critical acclaim lies a more complex narrative of creative battlegrounds where Gibson's exacting standards have clashed with fellow actors who couldn't match his intensity or share his vision. These weren't merely personality conflicts or tabloid-worthy disputes, but profound disagreements about the very essence of filmmaking, performance, and professional dedication. Gibson's reputation as Hollywood's most demanding collaborator stems from confrontations with A-list actors who found themselves on the wrong side of his famously uncompromising approach to craft. From shattered friendships to abandoned projects, these conflicts reveal the true cost of artistic perfectionism in an industry built on ego and compromise. Today, we explore 6 actors whose creative differences with Gibson became so irreconcilable that he vowed never to work with them again, forever altering the trajectory of some of Hollywood's most promising collaborations. 6th, Robert Downey Jr. The most heartbreaking conflict in Mel Gibson's career emerged from the ashes of what was once Hollywood's most unlikely friendship. Gibson and Robert Downey Jr.'s relationship began in the early 1990s when both actors were navigating the treacherous waters of fame, addiction, and artistic ambition. Their bond, forged through shared struggles and mutual respect for craft, seemed unbreakable until their fundamentally different approaches to performance created an irreparable rift that would end both their personal friendship and professional partnership. The breaking point came during the ill-fated production of Air America, where Gibson's methodical, traditional approach to character development clashed violently with Downey's improvisational chaos. According to director Roger Spottiswoode, Mel needed structure, discipline, a roadmap to the character. Robert thrived on spontaneity, on finding truth in the moment of creation. They were speaking different artistic languages. The tension escalated when Downey's off-script improvisation began affecting Gibson's carefully calibrated performance rhythms, leading to heated exchanges that crew members described as watching 2 masters of their craft destroy each other. Producer Laura Ziskin witnessed their final confrontation, describing it as 2 wounded artists who had supported each other through hell, now unable to find common creative ground. Gibson's later comments to Variety revealed the depth of his disappointment. Robert's genius is undeniable, but genius without discipline becomes self-indulgence. The friendship that had sustained both men through their darkest hours couldn't survive their artistic incompatibility, leaving Gibson to declare he would never again risk personal relationships for professional collaboration. 5. Julia Roberts. The collision between Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts during the production of Conspiracy Theory became one of Hollywood's most legendary on-set power struggles, representing the ultimate clash between old-school directorial authority and modern star power. Their conflict transcended typical creative differences to become a full-scale war over who would control the film's artistic vision, with Gibson's meticulous directing style proving incompatible with Roberts' established method of collaborative filmmaking that had made her one of the industry's most bankable stars. The tension reached its peak during a pivotal scene where Roberts questioned Gibson's directorial choices, leading to what cinematographer John Schwartzman later described as an Arctic standoff that froze the entire production. Gibson, accustomed to actors who followed his precise vision without question, found himself facing an actress who had built her career on intuitive performance choices and expected creative input. Producer Joel Silver recalled the atmosphere. Mel saw Julia's suggestions as challenges to his authority. Julia saw Mel's rigidity as stifling her natural instincts. Neither was wrong, but they were completely incompatible. The breaking point came when Roberts publicly criticized Gibson's approach in a Premiere magazine interview, stating that his methods felt suffocating to spontaneous creativity. Gibson's response was swift and final, with sources close to the production reporting his declaration that he would never again work with an actor who mistakes star power for directorial insight. Industry veteran Peter Bart later observed that their conflict represented the inevitable collision between Hollywood's changing power dynamics and Gibson's uncompromising artistic standards, a battle that would define Gibson's subsequent casting choices for years to come. 4. Danny Glover. Perhaps no professional relationship in Gibson's career has been more misunderstood than his complex dynamic with Danny Glover, his Lethal Weapon co-star, whose 4-film partnership masked a growing creative tension that would ultimately poison their collaboration. What audiences perceived as effortless chemistry was actually the product of two consummate professionals whose fundamentally different approaches to character development and franchise evolution created an underlying friction that intensified with each successive film. The conflict began during Lethal Weapon 2, when Glover's desire to explore deeper social themes clashed with Gibson's preference for straightforward action storytelling. Director Richard Donner, who navigated their partnership across multiple films, revealed, Danny wanted Murtaugh to grow, to address real issues. Mel felt that complexity would compromise the franchise's commercial appeal. They were both right from their perspectives, but increasingly unable to find middle ground. The tension escalated during Lethal Weapon 3, when script disagreements led to heated exchanges about character motivation and screen time distribution. The final rupture occurred during Lethal Weapon 4, where Glover's attempts to inject political commentary into his character's dialogue prompted Gibson to exercise his producer authority, leading to what crew members described as professional civility masking deep mutual frustration. Stunt coordinator Conrad Palmisano witnessed their last meaningful conversation, noting, "They shook hands at the wrap party, but you could see they were saying goodbye to more than just the film." Gibson's later admission to Entertainment Weekly that he found Glover's political approach incompatible with entertainment effectively ended any possibility of future collaboration, despite the franchise's massive commercial success. Shia Labou. The generational chasm in Hollywood's acting community reached its most explosive manifestation when Mel Gibson encountered the unpredictable creative force of Shia Labou during the mid-2000s. Their brief but intense collaboration represented a collision between Gibson's traditional, disciplined approach to filmmaking and Labou's experimental, boundary-pushing methodology that had begun reshaping contemporary performance standards. What emerged was a conflict that would crystallize Gibson's resistance to what he viewed as the destructive chaos of modern acting techniques. The tension ignited during pre-production meetings for an abandoned thriller project, where Labou's unconventional preparation methods immediately clashed with Gibson's structured rehearsal process. According to casting director Sarah Halley Finn, Shia's approach was to live in the character's emotional space continuously. Mel believed in turning it on and off like a switch. They were working from completely different philosophical frameworks. The conflict intensified when Labou's method preparation began affecting other cast members, creating what Gibson perceived as unnecessary on-set chaos that threatened his carefully orchestrated production schedule. The breaking point came during a table read where Labou's improvisational additions to dialogue prompted Gibson to halt the session, leading to what witnesses described as a masterclass in incompatible artistic temperaments. Producer Scott Stuber later revealed, Mel couldn't understand why someone would choose difficulty over efficiency. Shia couldn't understand why someone would prioritize schedule over emotional truth. Gibson's subsequent comments to The Hollywood Reporter made his position clear. There's a difference between commitment and self-indulgence, and I won't enable the latter. The project's immediate cancellation served as Gibson's definitive statement about his unwillingness to accommodate what he viewed as performative eccentricity masquerading as serious craft. 2. Winona Ryder. The collision between Mel Gibson and Winona Ryder represents one of Hollywood's most fascinating near misses, a potential collaboration that dissolved before cameras rolled due to irreconcilable differences about the very nature of cinematic storytelling. Their conflict emerged during the development of a period drama that would have paired Gibson's commercial instincts with Ryder's indie sensibilities, creating a toxic creative environment where two accomplished artists discovered their artistic DNA was fundamentally incompatible. The project, a Civil War-era romance that Gibson intended to direct, became a battleground over tone and approach from the earliest script meetings. According to producer Scott Rudin, Winona saw an opportunity to explore the psychological complexity of women in wartime. Mel saw a sweeping epic that needed broad emotional strokes to reach audiences. They were making two completely different films. The tension escalated when writers requested script changes, emphasized character introspection over action sequences, prompting Gibson to question whether she understood the commercial requirements of large-budget filmmaking. The breaking point came during a heated development meeting where Ryder challenged Gibson's vision for the film's climactic battle sequence, arguing for a more intimate, character-driven resolution. Witnesses described the exchange as two passionate artists destroying a beautiful project through pure creative incompatibility. Gibson's agent later revealed his client's frustration. Mel respected Winona's talent, but couldn't work with someone who seemed more interested in making art than making movies. The project's immediate cancellation sent shockwaves through the industry, with Variety reporting that Gibson had declared he would never again attempt to bridge the gap between commercial necessity and artistic pretension. Their conflict became a cautionary tale about the impossibility of reconciling fundamentally different approaches to cinematic storytelling. 1. Jodie Foster. At the pinnacle of Gibson's most significant creative conflicts stands his tumultuous relationship with Jodie Foster, a confrontation that exposed the deepest fault lines in Hollywood's evolving power structures and challenged Gibson's traditional understanding of creative hierarchy. Their conflict, which emerged during Foster's transition from acclaimed actress to serious director, represented more than professional disagreement. It became a battle over the very nature of authority and collaboration in modern filmmaking. The tension crystallized during development of a psychological thriller that Foster was set to direct with Gibson starring, a project that quickly became a microcosm of Hollywood's changing dynamics. According to studio executive Amy Pascal, Mel was accustomed to collaborative relationships with male directors, where his input was welcomed. Jodie approached directing with a more autocratic style, and she wasn't interested in star input beyond performance. The philosophical divide deepened when Foster's detailed shot lists and rigid directorial vision clashed with Gibson's expectation of creative consultation, creating what crew members described as an immovable force meeting an equally immovable object. The breaking point came during pre-production when Foster rejected Gibson's suggested script revisions, leading to what witnesses called the most professional yet devastating creative confrontation in recent memory. Producer Linda Obst later revealed, "It wasn't personal animosity, it was two brilliant minds operating from completely incompatible assumptions about power and creativity." Gibson's subsequent withdrawal from the project, accompanied by his reported statement that he couldn't work for someone who confused direction with dictatorship, effectively ended their professional relationship. Entertainment Weekly's coverage noted that their conflict represented the collision of Hollywood's old guard with its evolving future, making their inability to collaborate a symbol of an industry in transition. Gibson's conflicts reveal an artist who chose uncompromising vision over diplomatic collaboration, forever altering Hollywood's understanding of creative authority and artistic integrity. Subscribe for more behind-the-scenes revelations.